Good morning and welcome back. Today we are going to do a brake job on a 2011 Toyota Highlander. We're going to do both the front and the rear brakes. The owner has requested that we replace the rotors, both front and back as well. Driving the vehicle, you can feel a little bit of a shimmy. Can't really tell if it's from the front or the back, but when you're pressing on the brake slightly, you can kind of feel it's not even. So we'll go ahead and take care of the brake pads and the rotors. We'll start by releasing the latch on the hood. Elevate the hood and secure it. Locate the brake reservoir and take the cap off. Since it is sprinkling outside a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and put a paper towel over the top. We have our jack and our jack stand, and we also have our block for the rear wheel. 21mm socket and a breaker bar. Just loosening it, quarter turn. That's sufficient. Before I start jacking up, I'll put the block behind the rear wheel. Vehicle block, jack stand in place. I keep the jack in place too as a secondary measure, and have the rear wheel blocked as well. Front wheel's off the ground, we're ready to take it off. Wheel off. Time to take the brake caliper portion off to expose the brake pad. We'll start with this bolt, and there's one on the opposite side down here, right there. 14mm socket. So in some cases like mine, the shoulder of the bolt is just spinning in there, so you're going to have to hold it with a 17mm open-end wrench. And then once you've broken it loose, you can remove the open-end wrench, and it loosens up pretty good. Do the same for the bottom. Yeah, so this one didn't spin on me, but it was on there pretty tight. Actually, yeah, this one, yeah, it's not spinning. I had to break it loose with an extension. Take the bottom one off completely. Just fold this one up. I learned this one from Scotty Kilmer. I just watched one of his videos the other day, and I thought that was the coolest trick. He kept the one bolt in, pivoted it up, and that's perfect. We'll see how it works out for us today. Thank you, Scotty, for that tip. Alright, so now with the brake pads exposed, go ahead and remove the hardware. Pull your front one off. Rear one off. So if we were just changing the pads, I would just simply put the pads back in, fold the caliper back in after I squeeze the caliper in. But as you remember, we're going to go ahead and change the rotors too. So there's no need for me to pivot this thing up. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold it back down. And we got two more bolts back here that we need to take off. Right here. And right down there, so that this whole bracket assembly comes off. And we'll take this bracket assembly off, and we'll put it up to the side. 17mm wrench is the lucky number, and we'll break this loose. They're pretty good. All right, this one I had to use a different technique because there wasn't much room down there. So I extend my wrench by putting another wrench in there like that. It gives me the leverage. All right, so take these out. It should be hand loose. Once you break them loose, they spin out pretty easily unless the previous guy cross-threaded it, and let's hope that's not the case. So the key is not to kink your brake line, and you can either balance it up here like this, or you could use a bungee cord. We're only going to be in here for a few seconds, so I'm just going to keep it right here. It's perfectly fine. And as you can see, your rotor pulls right off. Simple. So the new rotors were purchased from AutoZone, and they're the Duralast Gold. They're powder coated, and they have a 3-year warranty. They come shrink wrapped. Just take a good look at them, make sure you don't see any damage to them, and make sure you put the rotor on the same way the old one came out. Don't kink the brake line. Make sure it's rotated in the exact position it came out. The bracket, just kind of slide it around a little bit. You'll be able to tell when the hole lines up. Then it'll start threading in. And then take care of the bottom one here. So I have them tightened up with my 17mm 3/8" drive ratchet. I'm going to finish the job up with a 1/2" drive, and I'm going to torque it down to 76 foot-pounds. All right, my torque wrench set to 76 foot-pounds. So that's it. All right, there we go. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and fold this caliper back up. And we're gonna put the new brake pads. Brake pads are Duralast Gold. Also, these have a lifetime warranty from AutoZone. They come with the clips, with the exception of the chatter springs, anti-chatter springs, but we'll use the old anti-chatter springs. And I have some brake cleaner with me, but it's fairly clean inside here, so I don't need to use it. But what we do need to use is a brake and caliper grease. We're also going to replace these clips with new clips, one at a time. I say one at a time because we want to match up the new clip with the old clip. Exactly how it came out of there. And we do that with all 4 clips. With the brake caliper grease, we're going to put it on the surfaces that slide back and forth. These surfaces come in contact with the clips, so we want to make sure that they're lubricated well with the brake caliper grease. And I also, maybe not necessary, but I put some on the back of the pad too. The surface, not the friction surface, but the surface that matches up with the caliper. And now you place the new pads in position. And do the same for the back side. So you remember at first we took the cap off the brake reservoir, and we did that because we were going to compress the calipers as the fluid gets pushed back into the brake reservoir. And with the C-clamp in place, and just slowly turn it. Alright, with the caliper pistons pushed all the way in, now we can fold the caliper back into place. Alright, so before we fold the caliper down, we'll go ahead and put these springs back into place. You can see the new brake pads came with the holes for the springs. You definitely need two hands to do that, because whoever invented those springs was a complete jokester, because when you put those springs on, the brake pads go poing, and so you're forced to keep your hand in there while you fold the brake caliper down, otherwise they just pull right out of position. So yeah, this is fun stuff. Yeah, so go ahead and tighten the final two bolts down. All right, let's get this wheel back on and we'll do the other side. All right, second side is done. And what I like to do, now that I've got the front completely done, I'm going to go button it all up, and I'm going to test drive the vehicle around. So before I go driving, I'll start the vehicle up, and I'm going to depress the brake all the way down, because it'll go all the way down because you had pressed the calipers back. So just slowly push your brakes. That's the second time. Third time, fourth time. You can feel it's nice and solid by the time you get to the fifth push down. What we've done is we've seated our brake pads into place. Now we can drive. All right, so I'm gonna go take it for a spin. First things first, I gotta remove the block from behind my rear wheel. Safety first. Let's buckle yourself in. Let's go for a spin. You might smell a little bit when you first start driving it, because you're wearing off that powder coating on the rub surface, but I'm primarily looking or feeling for any clunks or uneven braking, anything concerning in the front regarding the front wheels. I'm probably going to drive a couple 3 miles or so. When I first started braking, I could feel the paint coming off. So you want to get a few miles in. I don't feel the paint rubbing off anymore. Nice smooth stopping, but we'll go a couple more miles. This is why I like to do the front side and the rear side separately. Drive, you can focus on the side that you just repaired. So I'm not too harsh on the braking, just normal braking. And my test drive consisted of speeds around the neighborhood and up to 45 miles per hour. All right, time to start the back brakes. I'm gonna back into the driveway this time. That should be good. So for the rear, same as before, go ahead and block your vehicle up. Jack stand and a jack. Block the front wheel. Same concept, caliper, remove the caliper bolts. It's a little bit warm because I just got done driving it, but we didn't drive it too much. And then this bracket will come off, we'll change the rotor. The rear side is smaller than the front side because the front side does a bit more braking than the rear side, but regardless, it's the same procedures. We'll slide in the back there. And then you use your 14 to remove the caliper bolts. Sometimes they're a little bit tight. You'll have to use some elbow grease. But once they break loose, they're finger loose. For this one, I'm going to go ahead and take the top one off. The brake line doesn't have as much flexibility as the front side. We'll just do it the old-fashioned way here. Just kind of set it up on top there, just like that. All right, go ahead and move your brake pads. As you can see, they're much smaller. And as you can see, these were down to their limits. So the rear brake pads were due for replacement. All right, I'm going to take advantage of this time right now, and I'm going to remove the clips and put the new ones on. So, Duralast Gold from AutoZone. New clips. Both the top and bottom clips in this set are the same, so there's no way of mixing them up. So the bracket also. This one back here is held in with 2 bolts, 17mm wrench. All right, got those loosened up. Had to use a hammer to break them free. Once I got them broke free, they are finger loose. We'll make sure we torque them back down when we get done. I got fire ants in my driveway. Feels like I got one in my pants. That's not a good thing. All right, so this bracket we're just going to lay off to the side. And just like the front rotor, the rear rotor pulls right off. This rotor's a bit different because it's got a drum. The rear rotors have a drum on the inside for the parking brake. These are the parking brake shoes that's seating along the inside of the drum. So before I put the new rotor on, I'm gonna blow this out with compressed air, clean it with some brake cleaner, and get it all nice and clean. Go ahead and clean the bracket too.
rotors are Duralast Gold, 3-year warranty on these as well from AutoZone. It's pretty easy to fit this one back up because there's only one way it can go on. So one thing on the rotor you do want to make sure is that you've got this little access hole lined up with one of the holes on the hub. You can see with one of those holes. So when you put your rotor on, that you can actually see all the way through there. It's like a little adjuster hole. And there's a grommet that was on the old one. Let's go get it. There's the grommet on the old one. We're going to take it off and put it on the new one. It's not really a grommet, but it's kind of like a plug. So I take it off the old one, put it on the new one. There we go. I'll go ahead and put the bracket back on. Oh, hey, sweetheart.
Are you videoing this?
Yeah.
Right now?
Yep. You're in candid camera. I'm not going to edit your pretty voice out of this.
No. I'm so sore right now.
Alright, torque it down. I think the torque on these is like 57 foot-pounds, but I'm going to go ahead and torque it to like I did on the front. Okay. The bottom one. Alright. Make sure they match up with the old ones. The right size. Yep. So these are Duralast Gold from AutoZone, and they have a lifetime warranty. So in the little clip bag that comes with it, they tucked away the only two. One for each of the inside brake pads. At least on this, in this case, it was on the inside. So I'll put it on the inside. They just clip into place like that. Same old situation. Get your brake caliper grease. Grease up the parts that slide where the clips are. Pay attention not to get any of the grease on the friction surface. And I like to put just a smear on the back. I guess it's just a habit. And place. I always tend to get my hands dirty. This side didn't have those little springs that spread the brake pads apart. Not necessarily a bad thing. So. And slide them into place. The smaller ones seem to be easier to kind of maneuver. All right, so we'll go ahead and make sure the caliper, you know, is not kinked or anything. The hose is not kinked or anything, and we're gonna go ahead and compress this caliper right now. Just squeeze it, and I don't know if you can see it in the video or not, but I'll edit the video so it doesn't take so long. My C-clamp has seen better days. As you can see, the the butterfly portion of the handle has broken off over the years, at least. I'm on the ground here and my leg's cramping up. Go ahead and put this caliper back into place. We've already got it compressed, so it'll fit nicely over the pads. It up, tighten the top one up, tighten the bottom one up. Let's see. All right. It's a 19 millimeter, people. 19. I was wrong first time. For the back side, it's a 19. Just tighten it down. Okay, so new rotor and new brake pads. So I'm gonna put this wheel back on, time lapse the other side, and we'll take it for a test drive. Alright, same thing. So we're done with the back, and same thing as we did when we did the front. We're gonna go ahead and start the vehicle up and compress the brake pedal. That way we can extend the calipers. Seat the brake pads into place where they would typically be when you're driving. All right, that's good, nice and solid. All right, so brand new brakes, front and rear. Looks like the brake fluid, and it might be because I'm on a decline, it's a little bit above max. So it should be sitting at max when you do your brakes all the way around. You should never have to add brake fluid because when your brake fluid goes down, it's just filling into the reservoirs of the calipers. So we're good on brake fluid. We'll go ahead and put the cap back on. And we'll close the hood. Same thing as before. We'll take it for a test drive. We'll drive a couple of miles. Get that paint that's on those brake rotors worn off. I can hear it in the back. I can hear the paint being rubbed off as we speak when I apply the brakes. So we'll get that taken care of. Do the same little route I took when we did the front. Yeah, so don't be alarmed when you first drive off after replacing with these rotors, because there is a layer of powder coating paint on them. So brake pads are squeezing it and rubbing that paint off. So we'll get that process done. So this Toyota Highlander, I must say, it's a peppy little vehicle. It's got a 3.5 liter in it. Drives pretty nice. Has 136,401 miles on it. So, all right, coming back into the neighborhood. Brakes feel really good. Have a lot more brake pedal than I had before. Pull it in the driveway and we'll do the fun part. Pick up the tools. And then I'll review the costs. So as always, I appreciate you guys watching my video, guys and gals. If you like my video, press like, and if you enjoy watching my videos, please feel free to subscribe. So here's the financial analysis that we come up with. So $440.51 is what we paid for the parts at AutoZone, which may be a little bit on the high side because we bought it at AutoZone, but they have a decent warranty on their stuff and have a good relationship with them, so it works out well. Doing the repairpal.com's / /estimator, you can get an estimation for your zip code on what those chargers would be. So for the brake pads, I was able to find on the RepairPal estimator anywhere from $396 to $420. It appeared to be for both front and back, and 74% of that was for parts, 26% labor. So I used those percentages to kind of give me an idea of what the rotor replacement would be based on the rotor costs, my rotor costs. And so when I did the calculation, or I'll correct that spelling, it should be calculations for rotors, is based on parts being 74%. It comes up to anywhere between $405 to $670 just for the rotors. How did I come up with the $670? Because I did a comparison of what the RepairPal estimator inflated the brake pads, and I did the same inflation on the rotors too. So in the end, doing this job yourself, you're going to save yourself anywhere between $360 to $650, and that's a chunk of change that you can keep in your pocket. Time that it took me a little bit longer because I was filming and dropping things, but if I did this without filming, I would say the fronts would take me 30 minutes per side, so an hour to do the front brake pads, simply because the bolts were tight and stuff, and I fought a couple of them. The rear pads and rotor were easier, and so I would say 20 minutes per side. So hour and 40 minutes, 2 hours, you can get this job done. Give yourself 3 hours and you're good to go. Yeah, so I appreciate you guys watching.